So far, so good from the preclinical studies. And of course, that's pretty interesting. But in the end, you would like to know how you should exercise. And I want to end up with give you some general recommendations. So what do we know? What should we recommend? What is state of the art? And this is pretty simple and easy to recognize. So the most important thing is to stay physically active. What might be challenging during these days. And general recommendations would say that you should at least do 150 minutes per week moderate or 75 minutes per week vigorous endurance exercise. So what does moderate or vigorous means? This is related to the intensity, so how intensive you exercise. And moderate would mean that your heartbeat increases a little and that you are still able to talk while exercising. And in contrast, during vigorous exercise, which you could also do, don't have to be that long, only 75 minutes. But if you do a workout vigorous, you should not be able to talk anymore. So your heartbeat should be much faster and it should be a little bit more sweaty. And besides aerobic exercise or endurance exercise, and this is what I've mentioned in the very beginning of my talk, you should also try to do some strength training, because strength training is at least as important as endurance exercise. And the good thing is it's absolutely sufficient if you do that twice a week. And 20 to 30 minutes are really enough. And you could ask, what could you do for strength training if you are not able to go to the gym? But we will give you examples later on where you find many workouts for home. And just here shown on the right side, a classical squat or push-up. These are classical exercises you can do at home. And of course, you don't need a gym for that. So against the backdrop of all these positive effects of exercise, we also have some important considerations for anyone living with cancer, and you should pay attention at this slide really carefully, because I've told you right now how important exercise is, how many positive effects we have, but still there are some contraindications, and these should be really taken into account. So some of these contraindications are not only true for patients but also for the general population. So if you have fever, if you have pain, if you have nausea, dizziness, low blood cell counts, which could be a consequence of some types of therapies, you should not exercise. You can be physically active, so you can have a walk or you can walk stairs and so on. So classical activities of daily living are not prohibited, but you shouldn't really work out if you have these kind of problems. And of course, there are some side effects of diseases, of the disease itself, but also of the treatment. And to give you just one example, bone mets, for example. So if you know you have bone metastasis, you still can work out and you should work out, but of course you should clarify that with your physician. So that is pretty important, especially if you have mets which are at risk for fracture. You shouldn't be too careless, so you should definitely go to your physician and ask if it's okay if you work out and what kind of workout you are planning. But if you have done that, you should exercise and you should go for it. So some last important considerations, and I just have some data here from Germany, but I think it's not pretty different in the UK. So in Germany, less than 25% of the healthy population meets these general exercise recommendations I've just shown you before. So you should at least meet these recommendations, and I think Corona crisis should not be a reason not to meet these recommendations, because you have the time, you are at home, you are still allowed to go outside at least for 1 hour a day, and you should use this time to stay physically active. Of course, you should still stick to the recommendations in regards of isolation and quarantine. These are absolutely necessary during these complicated days, and you got to make the best out of it. And that is pretty challenging. but maybe by doing or integrating some more exercise in your daily life, you can overcome all these negative effects of that isolation. Home-based exercise will help you to improve your psychological and physical condition, and this is pretty important. And last but not least, and that's maybe my most important message I want to send out, exercise is free, and there are thousands of valuable online and TV tutorials. So there's no reason to say, I can't go to the gym, or I don't have shoes, or whatever. You can all do that stuff at home. And right now we want to show you how you can go for that. So let's get active, let's get it on, and thank you very much for listening. So thank you very much for watching, and let's get it on. Stay physical active. Thank you.